Hello, 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 all you beautiful souls. I'm Cheyenne, a Master Ascension Guide, and I help with the return of soul alignment. And today I'm going to do a presentation on the purpose of your spiritual awakening because many people are confused. And I completely understand because there's so much misinformation out there that I found myself running into loops in when the entire point of your awakening is actually extremely simple. It's very simple, and there is a process to do this that only someone who has done this process will be able to lead you into. I'll say that first. But this is going to be on the purpose of your spiritual awakening, why you awakened, and what this whole soul alignment thing is all about, basically. Finishing the steps of your awakening, coming to that resolution with your awakening. Um, So let's begin. And this is my first presentation here, and I don't usually do these often. Do something like this often. I usually do, one-on-ones in person or calls, but I decided to make this today because many people on the awakening path are very confused and they don't know. They simply don't know. And what you don't know how to change, or you don't even know what this whole thing is about. So hopefully this will help to resolve a lot of the mistruths out there. And if your soul led you here, it's because your soul knows that there is something deeper than what you've been, probably reading or seeing online up to this point. Okay, so first is a little bit about me, why I do this work. I didn't become an ascension guide to offer more tips and techniques you've heard before. I do this to reveal what truly transforms. Because once you connect to the truth of who you rest in love, find alignment, and create the life your soul came here to live. My mission is clear: to help you awaken from the suffering of separateness, restore your wholeness, and embody your true essence. Who I work with. I work with brilliant, self-aware individuals who are open-minded, both women and men, who've hit a wall with traditional advice. They've built businesses, families, and careers, but can't figure out what's missing. Possibly magnetized their soul before, but couldn't hold the connection. Lost themselves in the spiral and now feel disconnected from their children, their purpose, or their prosperity. Been told to surrender or wait, but it's only left them exhausted, broke, and emotionally numb. Stages of your spiritual awakening. So before awakening, you're mostly living unconsciously. You're very identified with the mind, as you probably know, right? You have an increased awareness, especially if you're watching this video from, what you had probably growing up or before reaching that point of awakening. And then you go through your ego loops. This is when you are caught in your fear-based energy patterns. And I also want to say this, like I said, before awakening, you're living in your fear-based energy, and you don't even have any awareness of this. If it seems that, you just awakened and, you weren't living in fear-based energy and you were perfect and you had this awakening because you're a great person or, a grand person, everyone else around you sucks. You just had this awakening because you're special or something like that. If that's the story that you have, then I would probably click off this video right now because this is not going to resonate with you. This is not the kind of content that would be serving your journey at the moment. Okay, but if before awakening you were living, unconsciously in your fear-based energy, and for most of us, we hit our breaking point, what seemed to be our breaking point, what seemed to be our lowest of the low before we were able to awaken, which means obviously something was off with how we were living, right? It's not that we were this great, grand, amazing person that just awakened and everyone else sucks. Obviously, there was something else there that happened before this point that made our awareness increase. So I just want to clarify that. Okay, so, and then you go into your ego loops, caught in the fear-based patterns and addictive energy, okay? And then you have your dark night of the soul. So that is when it becomes too much for your ego to handle, basically. it becomes too much because the fear-based energy can only handle so much. The fear-based energy can only go on for so long. That doesn't mean that you still don't have to do the steps to align to soul. However, even those of you that have awakened, you still may face troubling relationships, hard times, or, feelings of before you awaken, you hit those crashes and those crashes and those crashes, right? And basically, after you awaken, you begin to have awareness of that fear-based energy. That doesn't mean that it stops existing, but you're aware of it, right? You're becoming aware of it versus before you were living in it so much, right? And like how I stated, when you're living in that all the time, you can only handle so much before you go through dark night of the soul, okay? Because the fear-based energy is just, it can't sustain itself. So dark night of the soul is basically when you hit your lowest point, when you hit the point where you couldn't take it anymore. Your fear-based energy couldn't take it anymore. And so you had a moment of cracking, a moment of awareness, right? A moment of, wow, there's something different here. There's something more to life here, right? And that begins your journey towards soul, which is not widely known and available and keeps people stuck in loops. But this is your journey towards soul. It's your path of enlightenment. That is the purpose of your spiritual awakening. You're not done just because you've awoken. All right. So the dissolution, surrendering control and aligning with the soul. This is, most people don't even get here because again, they have an awakening and there's so many mistruths online that just keep people stuck in loops and loops and loops and loops and finding meaning of, their whole awakening, which again, just disregards everything that happened during their awakening. Like I said, most of us that have awakened, we hit our lowest point. So if you rewrote your story that you were a grand person and everyone sucks and that's why you awaken because you're the chosen one, then this video is not for you. Okay? But most people, they never get here because of all the bullshit online. But basically, after your dark night of the soul, if you follow the simple steps in the soul alignment process that I teach, you reach that point of disillusion where you start realizing the ways that the fear-based energy has been running your life. And you start to dissolve that one by one, little by little. You start to let that fear-based energy fade away and fade and fade and fade until you are only left with soul and left with essence. Through this process, you complete your journey. Now, you're never truly completed because you will be balancing for the rest of your life. You'll be balancing your fear-based energy that led you to your dark night of the soul. You'll be balancing that for the rest of your life until you reach ascension, like Eckhart Tolle or Jesus. Until you reach full-on ascension, you will be balancing your fear-based energy. But that is the entire point and stages of your spiritual awakening. So let's just recap. Before awakening, you're living heavy in your fear-based energy. You don't even know what that is. You have no idea who you are. You just believe, okay, I'm born in this lifetime and I'm picked up these learned traits and behaviors. This is the way that I interact with people. This is right and wrong, and this is what I know. Well, that can't sustain itself because it's not truth. It's not love energy. It's fear energy, right? So you're in these loops basically, and then you reach a point, the stress is too much. The story is too much. I'm a dad with 3 kids. I'm, the best person at work, or I'm the person everyone does everything to, or, I'm the person that has to run around and do everything. Eventually, all this becomes too much for, your mind to handle, for your fear-based energy to handle. Then you have your dark night of the soul. That's when you have a little bit of awareness of what's actually going on within you. And you're like, okay, something's different here, right? Through this process of the dark night of the soul, if you follow the soul alignment process, you start disillusioning, you start getting rid of or balancing out your fear-based energy into love energy, okay, by aligning closer to your soul. And then once you're able to do that and stabilize through the soul alignment process, which doesn't take very long, again, you'll be balancing forever, but it doesn't take that long to feel amazing and understand the point of this journey in a vibrational truth sense versus all the things out there. But you reach that point of completion, which is basically stabilized, fully present, and embodied in love energy. Okay? So what is fear-based energy? It is the energy that causes you to feel overthinking, looping, searching, spiraling, chasing, stress, and lack. And if you're watching this video, more than likely you are the push energy. I talk about this in my podcast, what the push-pull energy in our society is. So I would definitely check that out for further help on your journey if you want to understand the mechanics of this better. But basically, fear-based energy is these things. And if you're watching this, you're in fear-based energy, which is fine. There's a way to get out of this. The purpose of your awakening is to shift out of this energy into soul alignment, which is not what you probably have never heard this before in your life. Everyone online, they say, okay, your spiritual awakening is to go outside and go in nature. Your spiritual awakening is to, be spiritual, to go in spiritual groups, to fight wars in our society and see all the things that are going wrong in the war. I mean, that's just not the point of your awakening. I'm not saying those things don't exist, but that's not the point of your awakening, and your soul could care less. Your soul is a vibration of oneness, and that is the point of your spiritual awakening. Because like I said, you had your awakening because more than likely you hit your breaking point. Your fear-based energy said, okay, enough is enough, and your soul said it's time to come back, right? So basically, you just balance out that fear-based energy, you align closer to your soul, and then you start balancing towards enlightenment. It's that simple, guys. And here's some common fear-based traps on your spiritual path that many of us fall into simply because of all the mistruths. All right, so bypassing, avoiding, rushing, forcing, performing, which is very common, especially because, again, many of us, we don't fall upon the truth because it's not widely available. We think we just had this awakening to have this awakening and to live this awakened life now. But that's not the case. Spiritual identity. So creating an identity out of you having this awakening. I'm a spiritual person. I'm into spiritual things now, and this is me. This is a fear-based trap. Your fear-based energy loves that. Overanalyzing. So overanalyzing everything about your awakening, and through that overanalyzing, because the fear-based energy creates stories that make us feel comfortable, that is not actually rooted in truth, like disregarding the fact that we had our awakening because of the fact that we hit our breaking point, we hit our lowest point because of the fear-based energy. The fear-based energy will rewrite a new story and say, oh, it's because we're some grand person and everyone else sucks. Right? It'll overanalyze your entire awakening and make this whole story about it, make this whole thing about it. And again, that can only last so long too before you hit another crash and maybe go into another identity, which many of us have, whether that's being a starseed or, being a light worker or, just going through so many different identities that don't mean anything. Rushing to tell others. So this is what many people do after awakening, and it's common, it's fine. But basically, if fear-based energy, it wants to push out. So you're rushing to tell your friends, you're rushing to tell your family, you're rushing to tell everyone who you are and the things that you've been through. You're rushing to post it online. You're rushing to make sure that it gets out there. And again, that's your fear-based energy pushing out. And your fear-based energy likes to do this. Why? Because it wants a hit. And of course, if you don't know the vibrational truth of what's actually going on here with your awakening and what your soul actually is and what this means vibrationally, of course you're going to do this. You're going to try and do things like that. But this is a spiritual egoic trap that happens, rushing to tell others about what's going on. And I've even had some people, say that they want to pray for me or something, their spiritual ego. And again, this is all fear-based. This is all fear-based energy. All right, trying to create your soul through content. And this is a new one that I saw online, and I have no idea, what this is about. But basically, online they're saying, take out your camera and make videos, and you're going to find your soul through making videos. I want to say you will not find your soul through doing 99% of the information that you find online, because it's simply not true. It's not based in soul truth. And there are simple steps to connect and realign with your soul. However, it has nothing to do with anything that you could try to do. As it's a being, it's a non-doing. So if you try to do things, if you try to do practices, if you're trying to meditate and do spiritual practices and, take out my camera and go travel and make spiritual friends, you cannot find your soul, if you even know what that is. You cannot find your soul through doing any of this. You do it through a vibrational alignment process that I teach in soul alignment. That's the only way that you can find your soul, okay? Or align closer to your soul, really. That's the only way you can do it. And you're not going to find these steps readily available anywhere else simply because people are stuck in their own loops, and someone who's stuck in their own loops will not be able to bring you towards alignment. They will not be able to bring you towards the truth. They just won't. How my soul alignment method works. Yes, there is a better way to the soul that's pain-free. If you think you know everything, how's that working out for you? Okay? So if this does not resonate with you and you already know everything about consciousness, you already know everything about the soul, you already know everything, and you don't understand the purpose of aligning, you're just awakened to awaken, how is that working out for you? Because this is what this journey is about, being honest and coming back to the truth so you can feel amazing. Okay? So soul alignment replaces fear-based energy with love, brings you into energetic balance, guides you into your soul's truth, creates lasting peace and fulfillment, and is the point of your spiritual awakening. Your entire awakening is for you to eventually reach the point of enlightenment. I call it soul alignment. There's many different ways to call it, but it's basically you gaining your soul back, you gaining your essence back. Because let me tell you, everything in this physical world is temporary. Your family, your friends, your house, your car, your kids, this is all temporary. What is eternal is your soul, is your essence. You are here to balance out the fear-based energy into love energy so that you can connect back with your essence, connect back with the truth of who you are, which is a vibration of oneness. Okay? That is why you're here. And the soul alignment process works not 50% of the time, not 98% of the time, 100% of the time. Why? Because it's divine truth. It's the only truth in this reality. It encompasses everything that you could ever feel in this moment because it's divine truth. So if you're hesitating on aligning towards your soul or, all these things, eventually you will come back here because truth is truth and truth is truth, right? But your soul just wants you to experience itself. And it's actually very, 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 very simple. It's extremely simple. Once you balance out the fear-based energy and you start understanding this through a vibrational sense and what you are as a vibration, it becomes a very, very, very simple journey for you, and a journey full of love from that point. And you no longer have to question and go through all those loops again. So if you have any comments, definitely leave them down in the description below, and I will answer them when I have time and things like that. And I hope that this was very informational for all of you guys on what the entire purpose of you awakening was. And this is truth-based, 100% truth-based on why you awakened to connect to soul. And I hope that this maybe even took some pressure off of many of you, as I also experienced pressure of awakening and pressure of all these things I'm supposed to do now that I awakened, which is just not the truth. You're here to come back to the kingdom within. And I hope that, this was very informational to all of you guys, and have an amazing day whenever it is that you are watching this. All right. Oh yeah. And if you have been dealing with a lot, again, if your soul led you here, it's because more than likely you've already gone through this crap. You've already gone through the whole spiritual trap. Many people, they find themselves looping on this journey for decades and they have no idea why. I had this awakening. Why are things not working the way that they should be? I'm awakened. Because you're here to enlighten. You're not done. So if you're watching this video, more than likely you've already been through those traps. You've already been through those things. And again, your soul is still leading you here. There's still something that's not working out. So your soul is leading you here to the truth so you can have that closure for yourself. Which is great, because that means that you're actually open a little bit closer to being in alignment to your soul when you're open to that for yourself, right? receiving. You're open to receiving the truth. And yeah, if you've been facing that on your journey, you're trying to figure out why, this is the answer. And it works 100% of the time, but you have to be willing to do it for yourself. You have to be willing to be honest. And once you're able to do those things and balance out that fear-based energy into love, everything will make sense. And I don't know how to describe how beautiful that it is and freeing that it is, because I actually can't. But it's beautiful, it's freeing, it's loving, it's tender. It's like you can be in the moment and just open up. That's what I would describe the soul as. And you don't need words. You don't need any words. You don't need to say anything to anyone or yourself. You can just sit there and feel and feel. That's what I would describe the soul as. It's this knowing. And you can only get there through the soul alignment process. Again, if what you've tried before works, you wouldn't be here right now. You can only get there through balancing your fear-based energy. There's no other way to get here. And I've had, some clients that came to me and it was too simple for them to understand. And so they went and tried different things. And then they came back simply because this is divine truth. And if you skip steps on this journey, you just keep being led back into more dark night of the souls, because the entire reason why you awaken in the first place is because your fear-based energy became too much to handle. So you just keep hitting this, you keep hitting this, you keep hitting this, keep hitting this, until you learn what this is all about, which is what this video is. All right? Enlightenment. So if this video, touched you, if you resonate with this, if you're like, okay, I understand, and I'm ready for this for myself, I'm ready for this next step, you've gone through these things, you're ready to take this next step towards your entire purpose of being here, you're ready for the truth, then definitely click that link down below. I have many resources available. I also have the Sacred Soul Codex, which goes over the fear and love-based energies. It goes over how to recognize them and how to balance that out, as well as a free bonus embodiment manual at the bottom. Now, you do have to apply to receive this book, simply because this isn't just a quick read and, something you just to have and whatever. This is not more content to consume. This is a vibrational transmission, okay? So this is something that you want to read very slowly and actually do for yourself. So there is a submission form. I'm also putting together a course at the moment that is more affordable than actually coming here to visit me for one-on-one persons, which I've had many people come over from different countries to do soul alignment with me in person, which is just amazing. But I understand that it's not cost effective for everyone to do. So I also am putting together a course that is more affordable long-term for people to start balancing their energy into soul. And yeah, that is what I have to say here for today for you guys. And again, leave comments down below if you need further help and support on your journey. And yeah, this is my first presentation on your purpose of awakening, to dispel so many mistruths out there and make this journey less complicated than it has to be. So yeah, goodbye all you beautiful souls.